Hello, everybody. Can everyone see and hear me okay?
I can.
Awesome. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties getting in. My computer likes to make me log into Adobe incognito always for some reason, and that takes several extra minutes. So anyway, let's see. Welcome to this month's office hours. We've got some great Adobe Analytics champions here with me. In a minute, we will kick off with some intros and then get into some questions. I'll give folks one more minute to join us, though. And I will pull up our workspace. Okay. Okay, looks like we are recording. All right. We can go ahead and get kicked off here. Let's start with some intros. I can go ahead and do that. So my name is Megan Powers. I have been an Adobe Analytics champion for 4 years now, and I have been working at CarMax for 10 years, where I lead a team of engineers and analysts responsible for all of our digital data capture here at CarMax. And we own Adobe Analytics, Target, Launch, as well as a few other tools. I will turn it over to Anita. Anita, we can't hear you. Or I can't.
Well, that's just because I was muted.
There we go.
So, sorry.
Sure, what you were saying was probably amazing.
It was perfect. So just trust me. No, I'm Anita Mummert. I have been an Adobe champion this is my 3rd year doing it. I am a senior consultant with Blastix Consulting. And what else to tell you? I do all kinds of stuff from helping clients with Adobe Analytics and CJA and all the things in between. So, and I'm so glad to be here, and I hope we get some good questions today. Oh, I'll pass it off. I will pass it off to Christine. We'll break it up.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Christine Beatty, and I am in my 2nd year as an Adobe champion. I am currently a manager at Ernst & Young, or EY, where I am in the Adobe practice. So supporting Adobe Analytics, CJA, Target, all the good stuff there. So very excited to be here today. And Brad, tell us about yourself.
All right, I'll bring us home. I'm the noob here, Brad Millette. This is my 1st year as an Adobe Analytics champion, but not my first rodeo using Adobe Analytics. So I've used Adobe Analytics for many, many years. I lead our platform analytics group over here at Blastix Consulting. So happy to be here, and I love funky analytics questions. So this is my jam here. I'm excited to see what we get up to in these meetings.
Yep.
I like that. Very technical description of funky analytics stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Slogan, I think it should be.
Yep. Okay. And Brad, I saw your message. I'm going to try to get you. Yeah, I still don't see you as having for access to the workspace. Sorry.
Yeah, Anita was able to. She was kind enough to get me a PDF of the dashboard, so I just read through the questions. So I'll jump in where I can.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's see. I will share my screen, and we did get some pre-submitted questions, which are on here, but we're also going to be monitoring the chat. So as people have questions there, it could be something related to what we're talking about or just anything brand new. Feel free to post it there, and we will answer your question. All right, let's see. Okay, can everyone see the workspace? Hopefully
I can see it.
so.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so one of the questions we got, is it true the total number of unique visitors and visits um, from raw data warehouse are different than workspace? Yes, that will likely be the case. And I'll just read through my response here, and if anyone else wants to jump in, they can. But um, they'll often differ because um, there's a variety of reasons, really, but the data is processed, calculated in different ways in each place. So in Workspace, the UI automatically performs deduplication and aggregation based on the report date ranges and dimension. For example, a single user who visits a site multiple times within a month will be counted as only once as a unique visitor for that entire month in the Workspace UI. And so it's deduping that, but the data warehouse export provides that raw event level data. So when you manually sum the individual rows, you might get higher counts if you don't implement those same complex deduplication logic that the Workspace UI uses. So you need to use some specific methodologies to count unique visitors and visits correctly when querying the raw data. And I put a link here, which I'll drop in the chat, but this is a good Experience League post about this, where I believe one of our other fellow champions added this tidbit that your data warehouse might be creating multiple rows for the same visit and visitor. When you get the total from here, you aren't deduping again. So it's all about deduping. So just be careful when you're exporting that type of information because it's easy to overcount the metrics, which Workspace does automatically. So I'll drop that link into the chat.
I did it for you while you were talking, so you don't have
Thank
to worry about
you. um, do any other champions have anything to add on to that?
I feel
I
like
would.
your answer is so thorough. What do you have, Brad?
No, I was just gonna say it's the proverbial, it depends. It's important to know
Um,
what exactly it is that you're pulling in Workspace and how you're trying to calculate it because it depends on what you're looking at in data warehouse. And I think the main thing that you had mentioned, Megan, that's really important is just knowing when you're summing things up. If you're summing up rows, you're in some instances it's not going to make sense. Like thinking about marketing channels as well, you could have multiple marketing channels with in one visit, and so if you were to sum up the rows of the visits, you're going to get a different number than you're going to get at the total at the top of that
yeah.
table. So depending on how it is that you're trying to aggregate the data, those questions first as you're pulling that data from data warehouse to make sure you're getting what you expect to be getting.
Yep. Cool.
That's true.
Anyone else have anything to add?
I don't think so.
All righty.
Good question, though.
Yeah, that was a good question. Something
Yeah.
that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
um, okay. So we got a question on classifications. So what does it look like and how to apply in Workspace? And we can answer this. But we could probably also talk a lot about classifications and how to do it. So we can. There could be a lot of directions we go here, but I put a link in here, which is Adobe's knowledge base about classifications overview. You will first need to set up the prop or EVAR as a classification in Adobe Admin. And actually, let me back up a minute because maybe not everyone who's attending here knows what a classification is or why you would want to do it. So classifications are used to um, add a bunch of information, if you want, to one EVAR or one prop. When it all goes together, it can be a way to save on EVARs or props. It can be a way to be able to put a lot of combine information together, but also be able to separate out individual items within that, for example. Like, for example, we have some different ones. We have ones based on zip code, where we have a zip code, and then based on that zip code, we have what is your nearest store? How far away from that store are you? How many other stores are within 100 miles of you? Um, what's the location number and name of that store and city? What type of store is it? Things like that. So, like, that's one example. But we also have one where, when a vehicle loads in our search page, we capture all the things that are badged on that vehicle. Like, is this new inventory? Is this located, within 25 miles of where you are? Is it marked at a discount? All those type of things, and all those can be combined together in that one hit. But then by classifying it, you can also break it down into and treat it like individual evars or props as well. I guess before I get into the discussion of how to set it up, any other champions have any good examples of what they use classifications for?
Well, kind of similar to what you were saying, but product ID is a big one that people will do
Mhm.
classifications on. So, like, if you have a number that identifies a product that you sell on your site, you can give the product a name, you can give it a category, you can give it a in stock, out of stock, whatever. You can have all kinds of properties that belong to that product. And generally, they're going to be things that are pretty static from day to day, but like names and categories and that kind of thing. So that's a big reason for using those.
Yeah.
We also do a lot of, I think, Megan, you had mentioned the splitting apart to kind of save props and around evars.
Mhm.
And we do a lot of that as well. It does kind of say, like, we group similar things. So, research or product or whomever can see like the holistic, but then we also have people that maybe don't care about the whole string. They want to see, what the color was or the size was, that type of thing. So we'll do a lot of the classification breaking apart.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I think that there are countless examples,
Yeah.
but classifications are really beneficial. But yeah, the way you would set these up is by first going to the report suites admin, and you need to identify that prop or EVAR that you want to make a classification for and set it up there. And then there are several different ways that you can build out the rules for what those should be. It could be through the rule builder, which is available here in admin as well, the classification rule builder. Or you can do classification importer, where you build, like, my two examples for that importer. We use an uploaded CSV file for the zip code stuff, for example. So, we have the key, which is the zip code, and then we have all those other fields like nearest store. But we use the rule builder with regex to identify which items like are part of that search load, per car when that page loads. So there may be different reasons why you would want to use one or the other, but and that's the current system. Those are going away, though, correct? And going to be replaced
Pretty soon. Yeah.
pretty soon. We haven't. The new method isn't super available yet for us to play with, but that's how you build it currently. But within a few months, that's going to change.
The classification sets, which is what it's changing to, the August 31st of next year is when
Okay.
the current way goes away, the new way comes to play. And one, just to get it on everybody's radar, they are not migrating over current segment or current classifications. So
Yeah.
people will need to do that manually / using they have a migration utility. So just kind of putting that on people's radars,
Yes.
start thinking about that.
Yep. Yep. Good call. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that myself.
Add another Jira ticket in there for work.
Right.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of those. So, yep. Okay. So once you set those up right now via those current methods, but soon via the new methods, you can then, this person asked how to apply it in Workspace. You basically apply it in Workspace like any other proper EVAR or dimension. So in this components section on the left, if you search for a classified item, it will appear in the list. So in our demo data set, we have a classification set up on internal campaign ID. And so how they will all appear is all part of, you see in parentheses, all these different items have internal campaign ID in parentheses. That means that they are all part of the classification for this main EVAR 64, which is internal campaign ID. So if you pull in internal campaign ID here, you're going to get all of the various classified items. But if you just pull in maybe platform, you'll just get unhelpful. You'll just
I was going to say, good luck with actually having data in there.
yeah. What this is?
Anyway,
yeah, this is all,
there we go. That's good.
Yeah, so you'll just get like the one piece that is separate from the main classified variable. But this generally works the same way as most EVARs or props. You can add all kinds of different metrics to it. And it's just a way of being able to either combine it together or being able to look at it separately.
One thing that's cool about classifications is it's one of the few things that you can do with your data, is particularly in Adobe Analytics, that will actually give you, it will be retroactive to a certain extent. So that's kind of a nice feature. You don't it's not like creating a new EVAR where you start tracking whenever that thing goes on the site. So you can go back because it's mapping it to presumably, some thing that already exists in your data. So it's able to go back. I think you can tell it how far you want it to go back, and it will it'll be retroactive from there. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you know on the sets, because I know on you had just said, Anita, on the rule builder you can choose if you want it like 30, 60, 90 days to go back. In the importer it'll do everything. Do you know if in sets, I haven't looked at that necessarily to know if that goes back all the way?
I don't think you have the option to, you don't have the option to select. So
okay.
But I think it goes back. I just don't know how far back. There's got to be a limit. I can't imagine. Either that or it just takes a year for it to finish updating. I have no idea. But that's a good question.
Yep.
Classifications, as we were thinking of just other ways that we've used them in the past. I've used them also for splitting apart, as you had said, but also for grouping together. If there's like, I've done things like groupings of site speed time frames, and it's like it's every second, and like I want to group these together by like buckets of minutes or buckets of hours, or group site search by term types or by categories, things like that. So I've used that. Using regex is really helpful to be able to do something like that. So classification is great for splitting apart, great for grouping together. Anything you can use regex on, it's super flexible.
Yep. And there, I believe there can be up to like a 24-hour delay when you first implement a classification to see that data start appearing in Workspace. So don't panic if you make one and you go back to Workspace. You're like, why isn't it there? It can take I think up to 24 hours. So know that. But classification, like Rule Builder, is very helpful because you can test different data sets and see what will be the expected outcome, which I highly recommend doing before you push the save button. So, and it'll spit out exactly like how it will appear and what will be captured. For instance,
And I agree. I highly recommend using the rule builder and the tester because even if you build your regex outside of Adobe, some of the Adobe regex logic does not align with external to Adobe regex logic. So it might work in like a regexer or some other testing kind of UI, but it might not work in the Adobe UI. So just definitely make sure you do that test, like Megan said.
Yep, absolutely. All right. I can't see the chat quite as well. Any questions in the chat come in?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And not that anybody asked, but in CJA, just so you know, classifications basically don't exist. So it's a totally different thing. And it's actually a lot more flexible. So some of the limitations that we were just talking about here and the timing and that kind of thing are just not issues any longer in CJA. So that's nice.
That is nice. Wish I could play with it more.
And it's like instant retroactivity, so you're not waiting for 72 hours for these things to update. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Utopia.
I know, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. We can keep moving here, but if we have time at the end, we can come back and show some more stuff about classifications, like potentially the rule builder or whatever, because it is pretty cool, but also complicated. Okay, let's see. Someone asked about line graphs. So creating a line graph for a filtered freeform table. If Romilly, if you're in the chat, feel free to elaborate there on if you want to see something different. But for now, I just pulled in the page dimension, and then I did a filter on category, and then just, clicked our little visualize button there to get a graph. So yes, you can absolutely create a line graph for a filtered freeform table, or if you want to see more than one of the items from the list, you can come over here to this visualizations and add in a line graph. So not sure if you multi-select here, you can see multiple items in your line graph. And if you want to hide one, you just click that, and then you can just see the other two that are left.
Could also be, I'm not sure if this was the intent of the question, but if you wanted to see this metric occurrences in this case filtered, you've got that table that you just showed, Megan. If you were to just click on the top part, that's going to be that occurrences value, the spark line, sorry. That will show that'll show the occurrences trended. Instead of the 4.2 million number there, it's going to be that 1.05 million number trended over time. So you got flexibility.
Yep. Okay. But yes, you should be able to create a line graph for any freeform table, whether it's filtered or not. And again, you can add, just have one item in there or add multiple if you would like to. Hopefully that answered your question. If not, feel free to jump in the chat and let us know. Okay, we got a question about raw data in Adobe Analytics, like how the backend computes the revenue, for example. And again, if this doesn't adequately answer your question, please jump in and let us know. But so the two main ways to get data out is through data warehouse or data feeds. I dropped some links in here with the overview of both of them. They use for slightly different purposes. If you're talking about importing data in, you could use something like classification importer for revenue calculations, like potentially turn that into calculated metrics to be able to compute the revenue. Christine, you want to elaborate on your comment here?
Yeah. So I was just adding on, I agree with what you're saying. One thing to kind of keep in mind is that for those calculations, like if you're exporting the data, you're not going to get like the formula, right? Like it's not going to show you how it's come up with those things. So for the most part, you can find what dimensions are being used, which pieces of data that Adobe is using. But so just so you're aware of what's going into those calculations. Like Megan was saying, the data warehouse, the data feeds, those will give you the raw data. But I know things like time, for example, are pretty interestingly calculated sometimes. So just make sure you're looking at the right dimensions, pieces of data.
Even just visitors, visits and visitors are like impossible to try to replicate. So I highly recommend not doing that if you can avoid it, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah. Anyone have anything else to add here? This could potentially also be like another, big topic of getting data in and out, but
I mean, my one point would just be if you're looking to get raw data out of Adobe, almost always, I start with data warehouse. It's going to be easier to swallow and chew on. It's a using the data feeds can get hairy quickly with the amount of data that comes out and the format that it comes out in. So data warehouse is almost always the best place to start if you're looking for raw data.
Yeah, we probably almost exclusively use data warehouse compared to data feeds. I've done some data feeds, but mostly when like Adobe customer support has been helping us on a ticket and they need like really, really raw data so they can look at the like pre-hits and post-hits and all that stuff. But for
I feel like that's usually my situations where like if I need data feeds, if I need like to understand what this hit looked like before and after Adobe was processing it, like that level of granularity. But if we were just looking for like row level specificity, you can get really far with data warehouse.
Yep. Agreed. Okay. Alrighty, I'll keep moving.
There's another data warehouse question.
Yeah, I know. It's a hot topic this month. Okay, so longish question, so I'll just read through it. We have an SEO vendor that wants a daily report from data warehouse for organic search traffic only, but this isn't achievable based on the data warehouse component support documentation, which doesn't support paid search. It seems like data warehouse doesn't play nicely with segments that contain multiple rules. Like all visits where refer natural search and exclude any tracking code or campaign name that exists, et cetera, et cetera. I've tried segmenting by the most common search domains, but as soon as I have more than one rule, it's not visible as a data warehouse segment. So my suggestion here, and I'd welcome other champion suggestions as well, is because you're right. There are some limits to what types of segments Data Warehouse will support versus not. And Christina's helpfully dropped in that link here. And it, pretty clearly spells out which things you can and can't do. But something we do at my company is we have SEO as a marketing channel, which still essentially uses the paid search detection rules that you set up in Adobe admin, because we've got you set up the paid search stuff in Adobe admin, and then that becomes a marketing channel for us because we just point the paid search marketing channel to those paid search detection rules. And then natural search for us, we say like, hey, is it one of these search engines, but not the rules from paid search detection, with a couple other personal tweaks for our company. But and then we are able to send last touch channel through Data Warehouse, and pull it into our enterprise data warehouse system that way, as like last touch. We have first touch, last touch columns in there. So that's how we do it and get stuff to our data warehouse related to SEO. Christine, you have, do you want to talk about your comments?
Yeah, you covered, there are limits. I threw that into the chat. But the one thing that stood out in this question is you can stack segments. So if if you need a very specific thing that isn't working how you expect it, like it might take a little bit of legwork or finger work, but try splitting that one kind of mega segment apart into smaller single rule segments or double rule segments. It might take some tweaking, and that's also kind of why data warehouse is nice, because you can retry. Can stack segments, which is helpful if you're having an issue with one big segment.
Yeah, I find that to be a really good point. And I've needed to use that shortcut or that trick many times. I also very much agree, Megan, with your point of marketing channels. Yes, hammer that one. You definitely need to have those set up if you really want to get the most out of this. I did maybe find a little bit of a hack, actually, that I wasn't able to put it in here. But I noticed that I think in the question, they had said something like, let's see if I'm just reviewing it really quick. You can't use the paid search dimension, right? Paid search is not one that is available within Data Warehouse. And I'm assuming here that they wanted that paid search dimension because one of the values within that dimension is it's natural or paid. So is this natural search or is this paid search? And that is keying off of the paid search detection rules that you have in your report suite settings. So while you can't use the paid search dimension, you can use, if you just type in to your dimension, search in your dimensions bar, I believe it's just called, let's see, search engine natural, and search engine paid. And that one is available in Data Warehouse. I'm not sure why the paid search one isn't, but if you look at search engine natural or search engine paid, those are available. And so if you wanted to sort of trick Data Warehouse into doing what you want here, while you can't make a segment that says paid search equals natural, which is what they want to do, you can do hit scoped or visit scoped segments, however you want to do this, where search engine natural exists. And that's going to give you the exact same numbers as using the paid search dimension because it's based off of the same thing, the paid search detection rules. So it's weird. I don't know why one dimension's not in Data Warehouse, the other one is, and why you can use a segment for one when you can't use it for the other with Data Warehouse. But you can trick it with this dimension here. So I would recommend that, because yes, set up marketing channels, but that's going to be from the day you set them up moving
Yeah.
forwards. And if you wanted this data historically, do this trick and you'll get what you're looking for.
Being creative. That's the name
Yeah.
of the game.
Yeah. You
I
got
totally
to
forgot about
trick
those. That's
Adobe.
so glad you. Yeah. And they don't get called out often enough. So I didn't even remember that those existed. So thank you for.
I know I like never used them, but I was like, really, it's not there? Oh, interesting. So yeah, fun to play around with that.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to, you know, you have to trick Adobe sometimes to make
Oh
it do
yes, you
what
do.
Sometimes you got to trick it.
Oh, you don't
Yeah.
like that, but you'll take this? Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
What else we got?
I think
Where's the
that was
button?
the end of the pre-submitted questions. Do we have anything in the chat?
Mhm.
Not yet.
No, it's a quiet group. Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. Either boring them to death or we've answered all their questions so well that
I'm gonna go with the latter.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay, well, we could take a minute and elaborate on classifications a bit, since we
Actually
hit
show
on
how
some
that
of the
works.
high level stuff, but yeah, it is a bit tricky. So I'm going to leave our workspace guy here and show you the first step, which is
Megan, there
go.
actually is a
Oh, we
question
just
that
got one.
popped up.
Yes.
Oh, goody.
Yep, but it is data warehouse related. I'll just read it off really quickly. An unnamed source says,
Wow.
I don't want to start any rumors since this is recorded, but does anyone recall any sunsetting of data warehouse? Folks seem to recall a subtle message within data warehouse that was suggesting there was a sunsetting of a product August 2026, but maybe I'm confusing it with something else. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Well, isn't August 26th when classification sets are changing? So maybe there is a confusion there. I haven't heard about data warehouse. I mean, they've recently changed the
Yeah.
interface, but
Yeah. I have not heard anything. The only
yeah, I don't.
August thing that I have heard is the classification sets. I will be first to gather the pitchforks if they do decide to get rid of data warehouse. So let me know.
I'll be
I'll be on
behind
the
you.
front lines.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
No, I have not heard anything either about data warehouse, and yeah, probably about a year ago they redesigned the UI there,
Right.
but that no, I haven't heard anything either. There recently was like I think from maybe this past August, like it wasn't data warehouse, but it was part of the developer console. Like they were getting rid of the JWT. And this is not my area of expertise, but like getting rid of the JWT method and going to a different method.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's developer console, not so much data warehouse. But
Right. That's related to the API, which I think.
yeah,
And that,
It's not really a question, it's a comment, but yeah, they have changed.
1.4 is going away in August of next year as well.
Oh, so maybe that's.
So 2.0 will be,
So they're going to be
Okay.
busy between now and next August.
Yeah, I
Turn
guess
it off. That's all right. Yep. I was thinking that was gone already, but that's good to know. We still have some time on it.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Yep. Good question. Any a scary one, but if you lovely user who asked that question hears of anything, yeah, email us all directly or LinkedIn us, and we will
Because we
start
want to know. No.
campaign on your behalf to not have that happen.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions in the chat?
I don't see any.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, let me share, or I can go to the, show some of the classification stuff then.
Yeah.
Okay, so